Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
Hey, Michelle, I'm feeling great today. How are you? How's everything?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited about this episode. I think today's episode is really important.
Oh my gosh, yeah, this is going to be great. So maybe we should just dive right in
I think we
and
should.
give our listeners some context about today's episode. So, should I read the question?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Hi, Lindsay. First, thank you for your helpful and interesting podcast. I love them. That's awesome. So happy to have our
Thank
listeners loving our
you.
show. Hit follow, guys, if you love All Ears English. I have a question. Maybe you find it very strange. Sorry for that. Is the word stupid offensive? I ask this because I live in Mexico, but I'm not Mexican. And here, if you call someone stupid or stupido, it's very offensive.
hmm
Could you please explain how it works in English and give me some synonyms so that I'm not offensive, so I don't offend people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Have a nice one. And it's from Irina Tar.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Love
Mm-hmm.
it. Great question. So important, Michelle.
Oh, yeah. This is a really important question. So, I mean, like off the bat, like what do you think about this? Do you think stupid is an
Mm.
offensive word?
Yeah, I hate the word stupid. I
Mm-hmm.
really I've always been very against using this word.
Mm.
Um, Obviously, especially if you're directing it at someone.
Yeah.
If you're directing it at a thing like a process, like bureaucracy,
Yeah.
I think that's a little less offensive. If I say, "Oh, bureaucracy is so stupid," but even then, there's more interesting words we can use because 'cause you're not offending people directly when you say that, but we can be a lot more articulate. But if you're directing it at a person, absolutely not. I hate it. I hate it.
Mhm, mhm.
What do you
Uh,
think,
uh,
Michelle?
yeah, I think it's a bad word. I wouldn't want my kids to say it
No.
or learn it but I will say that as a kid, said that all the time. What about you?
Of course. Of
I
course
mean,
I did. Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
for sure. I wonder if kids these days probably kids are still saying it these days, but
yeah.
sometimes I think that kids are also becoming or evolving in a way. That was the '80s when we were kids,
Mhm,
you know?
mhm, right.
Sometimes I wonder yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
wonder if it is as prevalent today, but I know that it certainly was. There were a lot of words that I think kids, growing up in the 80s and 90s said that would not be okay to say now, right?
yes, a lot for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Mhm.
Yeah. So, this is a really good question. And guys, I also encourage you to listen to our episode 1886 is four phrases to avoid being dismissive in English. So it goes over some things, to avoid this kind of, mistake of not being so nice or to be dismissive, and talking about being stupid is one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Lindsay, I mean, so you might use it from time to time, but never at somebody. So I actually found an article on hbr.org. This is
Mhm.
back from December 15th, 2020. And it's
Okay.
called Why You Need to Stop Using These Words and Phrases. And it's by Rakshita Arni Ravi Shankar. I apologize if I
Oh,
didn't really pronounce that correctly. So we're going to
interesting.
talk about that a little bit today. But let's just talk about the word stupid. I mean, the dictionary says it means having or showing great lack of intelligence or common sense. It also
Mhm.
says, like for example, they gave an example. Apprehension was numbing her brain and making her stupid.
Mm.
Or it talked about a stupid person used to address someone. So that's the
Yeah.
idea of the word stupid. I don't even like that I have to say it so many times on this episode.
Yeah, there are so many reasons. And actually, I really want to read this article. I want to encourage our listeners to go over and read this article. It's from Harvard Business Review. And words that we don't realize are very hurtful in so many different ways. One thing that comes to mind immediately, Michelle, is the onset of dementia for so many people in our culture right now.
Right.
An entire generation is just getting, honestly, it's penetrating a generation. And when we're throwing around words like stupid, it's not respecting, you know, people that are having challenges like that, like medical
Right.
conditions.
Right.
That's the first
Right.
thing. Just the first thing. Uh,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that that's probably, one of the biggest or if not the biggest thing about it is, using
Right.
words that are, can be really hurtful to people. I mean, the article, I mean, I think a lot of people are guilty of using this word, and it's very
Sure. Sure,
informal, and
sure,
you
sure.
will hear it in
All the time.
conversation all the time. So, but this is just kind of something to reflect on since we're talking about it. So just a couple things from the article. So it starts on out saying, like, you know, um it says, if you said it was stupid, insane, crazy, lame, or dumb, you have unknowingly or not
Mhm.
participated in spreading ableist language. Okay.
Ableist. What does that mean? The term ableist,
So, all
Michelle.
right. So, I will go in. So, this is another quote. Ableism is defined as discrimination or social prejudice against people with disabilities based on the belief that typical abilities are superior. It can
Yeah.
manifest as an attitude, stereotype, an outright offensive comment or
Yep.
behavior. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it can show up as metaphors, like different ways you might use it in conversation about people. The article mentions that you might not realize that you're really,
Sure.
being very
Right.
offensive in this way. What do you think about that, Lindsay?
Yeah, this is really interesting because here in All Ears English, we want to challenge you guys to think beyond just words. Like what's below the words? What's beyond the words? What's the impact of my words? Are they building connection or hurting connection?
Hmm.
When I look at these words that they're listing, stupid, insane, crazy, lame, you're right. They all point to, it is ableist to say these things because we're pointing to maybe certain disabilities. Like the word lame could be very offensive to someone that is physically handicapped,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But our culture uses the word lame. Oh, that's lame, right?
Oh,
As
oh
just a way of
yeah.
saying, oh, that's silly or that's ridiculous. And it feels harmless, but it actually might be harmful because there might be someone handicapped around you or someone who knows someone who's physically handicapped, right?
Right, right, exactly, exactly. So, we
Yeah.
really want to be careful, but there you will hear it. But we at All Ears English, we're taking
Yeah.
taking it to the next level, and I don't think that a lot
Yeah.
of native English speakers think about words in the way that you guys, as as English language learners, think about them. I think that, like, people, speaking English, practicing their English, learning English, kind of think about language on a bit of a different level, whereas a native English speaker might never realize that what they're saying is offensive.
Yeah, but our listeners, you guys are ready for this. You guys are
Exactly.
so smart and high level and curious, right? And
Mhm.
I think it reminds me, did we mention this episode earlier? The episode we did do an episode a few years ago, Michelle, about the
Mhm.
word crazy as well. Um,
Right. Oh
I'm
my
gonna have to
gosh, I
find that.
forgot.
Yes. So if you guys are in the app, the iOS or Android app, you could actually search at the top of the episode list and type in the word crazy. But we did do an episode similar to this in the way of just around the word crazy, just how it is, again, ableism, using
Right.
that. Even
Right.
though it feels harmless, it's very common. That's so crazy. I mean, I still
It's
use that word all the time, and
like,
I have
that's
to stop myself and
insane.
remind
Yeah.
myself, oh my gosh, this could be offensive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, a lot of these things are just a part of the language, and, that
right.
we're at a kind of like a time in society where we have to make some decisions about
Yes.
what's okay and what's not okay, and, things over time that people are so used to saying, like how I said, things that from when we were kids, you look back and
Right.
you're like, Not okay." Like, but,
Right, right,
it takes
right.
time to move a society away from something, and,
Mhm.
the language, I think it's so ingrained and people aren't thinking about the harm it may cause. And so
Oh, it's
we
really
do really
interesting.
have to kind of like take stock in our language and
Mhm.
think, like, what is this saying, and do we want to be, a part of this? And I think, some people feel, "Oh, that's not how I mean it," or whatever. And that's the thing, is it can be so innocent. I mean,
Yeah.
starting off, when we started the conversation, I think the word stupid, yeah, like, just to say, "Oh, you're stupid," like, number one, it's
Obviously.
rude on
Yeah.
one level, but now we get to this deeper level where it's like, well, what's
Yeah.
behind that word?
Exactly. So today we wanna give you guys a few alternatives, other things you
Mhm.
could say, right? So
Mhm.
that I mean, yeah. thinking deeply about this, and when you're learning a new language, you can start fresh and kinda select the words you want to be in your vocabulary so that you're not
Mhm.
harming people, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Mm.
Exactly. So, if we want to say so just thinking to what many people
Yeah.
use the word stupid as, right? To say something's
Right, right.
wrong or you don't like it, right? Like when you said, like, the example in the beginning, "Oh, the bureaucracy is stupid," or
Bureaucracy.
whatever.
Mhm.
So what else could you say?
You could say, bureaucracy is ridiculous,
Mhm,
right? Or that's ridiculous.
mhm,
Um, Something else you could say, you could take a totally different structure, and that's
mhm.
actually more interesting, right? You could say, I disagree.
Yeah. If somebody instead of saying, "That's stupid," like, why would you say that? Just say, "I
Mhm.
disagree."
Yeah, because actually thinking more about what I said earlier, where I said that, saying bureaucracy is stupid is not necessarily offensive, but we're still using that word in a more derogatory way, right?
Right.
And so it could be. And so I like the alternative of saying bureaucracy is ridiculous or
Mhm.
coming up with something a little more creative.
Mhm, mhm. Or you could just say something like, "That was a blank remark," right? Instead of, stupid, you might wanna say, yeah, maybe like an unintelligent remark or,
Yeah.
that was not maybe you would say something like, that was not a well thought out remark." Like, you can use it, but, like, instead of saying, "Stupid, that was a stupid remark," right? Put another
Yeah.
adjective in there.
Yeah, and, I see you took away the word silly, and I
I
agree with
did.
that edit.
Yeah.
Actually, I agree with that edit because silly, I think, could probably be put into this same
Yeah.
category.
Yeah, that's why I just took it out. Okay, you agree. Yeah, because 'cause I'm looking at it, I was like, "I don't know if that's great either."
Guys, we're using our notes here, our little outline, and
Yeah,
Michelle just made an edit in real time
yeah.
because this is what this is about. This is what connection is. Language is as a tool for connection, but we have to kind of edit ourselves a little bit in real time, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Every day we're making these mistakes too as native speakers. But are
Uh-huh.
we thinking about the mistake we made? Are we
Yes.
thinking about the harm we could be doing and what we could say next time instead?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Alright, so let's do it. So you could say, like, "That was not an intelligent remark." So
Yeah.
let's give a role play.
All right, Michelle, let's get into that role play. So here, what is our scenario? What's going on?
Alright, so we are friends complaining about a waitress.
All right, here we go. Oh, why did she just say that?
I don't know, maybe she thought you didn't like your food?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was not an intelligent remark. Okay.
So I think our culture is going to have to start to invent new words or come up with new things. I think we maybe have a lack of words to take the place of these potentially ableist words, right?
I think that's a very good point, Lindsay. I think that people are missing there's going to be gaps there
There's
because these
gaps.
these words are so common. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's and now that we're realizing, hey, we might want to make some changes here. Well, we need some more words. I mean, it's true like
Leave
we
it to
need
the
to think.
TikTok generation. They'll come
Yeah.
up with it.
That's true, that's true, that's true. But I mean, then the other point is, in this example, okay, so like just to go through it, you said, that's ridiculous. Like maybe so something the waitress said was rude. And you
Yeah.
said that's ridiculous. And then I said, yeah, that was not an intelligent remark. So maybe she said something, not, like, just rude or something that wasn't I didn't feel was very smart of her to say. But like then it comes back to this, don't we want to avoid the negativity and assume the best in people? So just this idea, like there's talking about it as an ableist term, and then there's the other side of it is just like also just negativity. Like, why do we call things stupid?
Oh,
Like
this is so interesting. And Michelle, did you hear Aubrey's interview on episode 1913
mm-mm.
with Jenna from Roses for Everybody? So I'm
No, but
bringing
I
that up.
saw that and I'm dying to listen
Yeah.
to that one.
Yeah, I wanna let our listeners know about that one as
Yeah.
well, because
Yes.
it's literally the opposite of this. What it
Mm.
is the whole idea is Jenna introduced a campaign to reclaim the word fat that
Mm.
for overweight population, right? People overweight. And it's literally the opposite of this. It's saying that word is
Mm.
just an objective definition, right? And
Mhm.
so we've historically used that in an offensive way, and that group is reclaiming it for
Interesting.
themselves as a form of standing up and saying, "I am okay."
Right.
And so it's literally the opposite of what we're talking about today. So go and check out that episode, guys, as
That's
another really
interesting.
good thing to be a thoughtful English speaker.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
love it. That's great. Yeah. So, I mean, lots to think about here. I mean, this was such a good question that really led us kind of down this deep road. So, I mean, basically, the answer is try not to use it. Let's get a little bit
Yeah.
more creative and more positive, and we
Yeah.
gave you a couple ideas, but see even additional things that you can come up with.
Totally. Try not to use it. And then also think about what other words. We listed a few of them and there's more. What other words are you maybe using that are so common you're hearing native speakers use all the time, but they actually could be harmful to certain populations? And what are other words that you can expand your vocabulary and sub in different things or different ways
Yeah.
of saying it? This is great.
Right.
This is
Right.
connection right here, Michelle. This is connection and inclusion.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, you're a part of this, I think even more so is people who really really think about the language and, learning it. And so, I'm just proud because I know, I'm proud of this listener for asking this question, actually.
Me too. Really smart.
Yeah.
Thanks for your question, guys. If you have a great question, send it in to Lindsay at allearsenglish.com. The more specific, the better. And don't forget
Yes.
to hit follow on All Ears English. All right,
Okay.
Michelle, thanks for hanging out today. I'll see you
Thanks,
soon.
Lindsay. Bye.
Bye.